a biblical perspective on life, culture and current events. This is 2020 on Vision.
And right now we'll be speaking with Beck Oates from Tear Fund. Their work have been on the ground working in Afghanistan following the recent catastrophic earthquakes. Tear Fund work in 50 of the world's poorest countries to combat poverty and injustice, and Tear Fund have a special concern for crisis relief. Right here and right now is Beck to share with us about what Tear Fund's work on the ground is looking like in Afghanistan after those recent catastrophic earthquakes. Welcome to 2020, Beck Oates.
Thank you so much for having me, Tosh. Appreciate it.
It's our pleasure to have you along, and thanks for the great work that you're doing there in that incredibly difficult situation. We understand that on 31st of August, there was a major catastrophic earthquake that hit eastern Afghanistan. What can you tell us about what happened there and what your teams have been working on?
Yeah, as you say, it was catastrophic. I mean, the early reports were saying that a minimum, 1,400 people had injured and, more than 3,000 people injured and at least 1,400 people had died. But obviously since then we've been able to understand the impacts of the earthquake a little bit more. It was actually quite difficult to get to the area because of the terrain and lots of building collapse. But we've surveyed that population and found that, the area has been really devastated. It has a real profound human impact on those communities. For example, nearly 40% of the surveyed population had either experienced injury, death, or people in their family missing. So it's quite catastrophic. Mm.
And so on the ground in Afghanistan, eastern Afghanistan there, with the midst of the destruction, how bad was the destruction in those parts of the nation?
Yeah, well, I mean, mostly it's about loss of home, obviously death and injury as a part of that. But then the people that did survive have lost home, lost access to clean water, and obviously with the loss of food, with the weather and looking ahead towards winter, that's a real issue, a loss of housing. And so it's urgent. People urgently need sanitation, water, basic needs, and also shelter as they look towards winter.
And as your teams are on the ground there, is this the kind of assistance that they are providing?
Yeah, so we partner with local partners in Afghanistan. We've partnered with this particular partner for many, many years. And so they're best placed to know how to assist. They're already on the ground. They were there immediately helping and taking stock of the situation. And so we support them financially and also just in terms of prayer support as well, and logistic support in terms of how to respond. But yeah, people on the ground are the best place to do that. And we have that long-term partner who is in Afghanistan in that area.
Yeah, that's a very smart way of operating nowadays, and many organisations are going that way. We understand that there was even some entire villages that had been destroyed. What's happening with the folk whose entire villages are now just rubble?
I mean, it's hard to imagine, isn't it?
It is.
For the people that do survive, the psychological impacts, the emotional impacts, the family loss, the loss of children, loss of parents, children without parents. And so people who are responding, they are also themselves being affected by this earthquake. So it's multi-layered. And so time is of the essence, actually, in these kind of earthquakes as well, in terms of reaching these people and giving them the support in a pretty catastrophic situation. Yeah.
So are they in camps at the moment, or have they been removed, or...?
Yes, they're certainly sleeping outside, certainly initially because of the aftershock as well. And so, but as relief and aid has come in, there's temporary shelters being put up. So the temporary shelter part of it is really critical, and that has started to happen, but we need more. Mm.
Yeah, and the agencies that you're working with on the ground there, the partners that you have, you said you've been in relationship with them for a number of years. You've obviously got, as in Tear Fund, you've got other agencies in other nations. How broad is the work of Tear Fund?
Yeah, well, we have 47 different partners that we work with around the world, because we are really committed to local partnership. Some of those are larger partners, some of them are more emerging partners, learning how to do development and how to reach the community that they are in. So it's a real broad cross-section in about 28 countries.
Amazing. And with the work that's happening there in Afghanistan, after the folk get back to, get over the relief requirements and get back to life as it was or as it can be for them, what's the continuing work that will go on with these communities there through Tear Fund?
Well, certainly health and psychosocial support. I mean, this is clearly a really traumatic event and loss of family members. So that is a long-term, addressing trauma, grief, fear, especially with children who've experienced this. So that's one of the things that we invest in. And then just the community-centred approach. So really trying to help the communities be community and help one another. Making sure that there's safe places for children who are feeling trauma to be and feel safe, and just the longer term recovery. Livelihoods. How are people going to feed their families going forward? Disaster risk reduction. So how to prepare if this was to happen again. How to prepare for disaster. That kind of work is also a long term thing that we do after the disaster recovery.
And going forward in those communities, obviously in Afghanistan, the need is great and the communities are quite diverse as well. How many areas in the land of Afghanistan, how many communities are Tear Fund involved with?
I don't know at the community level. I mean, we have two partners who work in multiple communities, and and that changes over time as well. And there's some, for example, there's some displaced people as well that they're working with, and that changes as to where that's happening and that work. So there's a broad cross-section, but we have two significant partners who have stayed in Afghanistan, because a lot of people who send aid workers to a place like this had to leave Afghanistan, but because we have locals, they are able to stay there and do this long, hard journey of working in this space.
Yeah, how did you manage it? With these partners, I mean, if there's many workers who were removed or ejected from the nation, are they local Afghanis that you're working with, or are they just people from close by communities?
Yeah, a little bit of a mixture, and the other thing, of course, that's impacted them that with the removal of USAID funding is that some of those projects. So our partners have multiple projects that are funded by us, and they might be funded by another organisation or through USAID. And so some of their projects have lost funding as well. So they have the added complexity of trying to be sustained as an organisation financially because of those aid cuts, plus the complexity of working in a place like Afghanistan, and then you put on top of that an earthquake. So
yeah, you're the second guest today to mention how USAID recent cutting has affected the work that's there on the ground. Going forward, we just want to thank you so much for the work that you're doing there with Tear Fund on the ground in Afghanistan. Beck Oates, thanks for coming on and sharing your thoughts today on 2020.
My pleasure. Thanks for having me.
Thanks for taking time to listen to this audio on demand from Vision Christian Media. To find out more about us, go to vision.org.au.